dear students, myself Gangadhar Solanke and I welcome you all to the MCGM's virtual classroom. Dear students, today we are starting with the subject history, and in history we'll be learning the topic India's internal challenges, and in this chapter we are going to learn about some internal challenges that India faces. So we shall see some internal challenges like separatist movement, issues of Northeast India, Naxalism, communalism, and regionalism. So, in the detail, we'll talk about one by one. And in this, the first point is of the unrest in Punjab. So, when we talk about Punjab, then the Akali Dal was the major political party in Punjab, and in 1973 the Akali Dal passed the Anandpur Sahib resolution. Now, according to this Anandpur Sahib resolution, the following demands were made in this resolution, like Chandigarh should be made part of Punjab, and then the Punjabi speaking parts in other states should be included in the state of Punjab. इसका मतलब ये था कि बाकी कहीं भी जगहों पर जो लोग पंजाबी बोलते हैं उनको भी, उस एरिया को भी, उस टेरिटरी को भी पंजाब में ऐड करना है. That is, the Punjabi speaking parts in the other states should be included in the state of Punjab. Then the recruitment of Sikhs in the Indian army should be increased, and more autonomy should be given to the state of Punjab. All these were the demands of Akali Dal as per the Anandpur Sahib resolution. And then Akali Dal came into power in Punjab in 1977. And while taking charge, they asked for a larger share. Larger share of what? Larger share of river waters for Punjab and holy city status for Amritsar, etc. as well, along with their demands. But day by day these demands increased, and the way of demand also changed. So in 1980, the movement for independent Khalistan, very important thing to study when we are talking about India's internal challenge. This is in the separatist movement. So in 1980, the movement for independent Khalistan took root in Punjab. अलग खलिस्तान की मांग होने लगी. जैसे एक भारत एक देश है, वैसे ही एक खलिस्तान अलग से देश होनी चाहिए था. And during that period, the leader of Akali Dal was Sant Harcharan Singh Longwal. He used to direct his activists from the Golden Temple of stage protest. So this person, Sant Harcharan Singh Longwal, used Golden Temple to direct his people, and on the other side, the Golden Temple, armed followers started gathering around the staunch Khalistan supporters, and there Sant Jarnail Singh Bhindranwale, and during that, we'll see what happened. During that period, terrorist activities had begun. Bhindranwale was arrested in 1981. Then he was accused for the murder of newspaper editor Lala Jagat Narayan. And after this incident, the situation worsened, because जो डेमोक्रेटिक वैल्यूज़ थे उनको कोई वहाँ पर मानने को तैयार नहीं था. ये सारे लीडर्स जो थे वो खुद की मनमानी कर रहे थे, एंड एज पर देयर ओन पार्टी, एज पर देयर ओन रूल, वो उस पर्टिकुलर टेरिटरी को चलाना चाहते थे. So due to these developments, or we can say due to these situations, president's rule was imposed in Punjab in 1983. Bhindranwale went to stay at a religious place called Akal Takht, and Bhindranwale's followers captured the Golden Temple. And not only captured, but they built a barricade of sandbags over there. The area looked like a fort, and this greatly disturbed the peace in Punjab. So it was very necessary to take a major action over it, and that's why, because it was not only disturbance for the peace of Punjab, but it was a major challenge to Indian democracy, and then the Operation Blue Star to stop all this. On the morning of 3rd June 1984, the mission Operation Blue Star started, and the operation ended on 6th June. So the main task of getting the terrorists out of the Golden Temple was entrusted to Major Kuldeep Singh Brar, and in this military operation, the Indian Army functioned with great restraint. The operation ended with the death of Bhindranwale and other terrorists, and in 1986, an operation had to be conducted against terrorists in the Golden Temple once more, and that was called Operation Black Thunder. After this action was taken, the process of establishment of peace in Punjab picked up momentum. उसके बाद एक तरह की पीस बनना पंजाब में शुरू हुआ, और ये जो टेररिस्ट चैलेंज हमारे देश के डेमोक्रेसी के सामने खड़ा हुआ था वो स्टॉप हुआ. 100% तो नहीं कह सकते, बट इट वॉज स्टॉप्ड. देन द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, इश्यूज concerning Northeast India. Now, if we talk about Northeast India, it consists of the 8 states, that is of Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim and Tripura. ये जो 8 स्टेट्स है वो नॉर्थ ईस्ट इंडिया का पार्ट है. इंटरनेशनल बॉर्डर्स ऑफ इंडिया टच ईच ऑफ द स्टेट्स टू वैरिंग एक्सटेंट्स. यहाँ से अगर हम देखेंगे तो इंटरनेशनल बाउंड्रीज जो है वो हर एक स्टेट को यहाँ से लगती है. कोई ना कोई फॉरेन कंट्री जो है यहाँ पर है और उसकी बाउंड्रीज इन सारे स्टेट्स को कनेक्ट है, यहाँ पर वहाँ पर है. These states are different with respect to ethnicity, language and cultural diversity. So our first Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru of independent India took the lead in bringing the tribes living in these areas into the mainstream of the country. And for that, to bring them in the mainstream, in 1954, he formed the Northeast Frontier Agency, that is NEFA, comprising of the territories on the Sino-Indian border and the tribal areas towards the north of Assam. Not only this, but Nehru took the position of bringing about the development of hundreds of tribes in these parts while preserving their culture. It was always very important to take care of the language and the cultural heritage of any particular group or any particular society, and that is what happened there also. Special provisions have been made with respect to these areas in the 6th schedule of Indian Constitution, and in 1965 the responsibility of administrating this area was given to the Ministry of External Affairs. The Northeastern Council Act of 1971 was supposed to advise the central government regarding aspects of common interest in economic and social spheres, interstate transport, electricity, flood control, etc. So all these points were included in this नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न काउंसिल एक्ट ऑफ 1971. तो इससे क्या हुआ कि उन लोगों को भी लगा कि देश में हमारी जगह है, हमारा ख्याल रखा जाता है और हमें मेन स्ट्रीम में लाने के लिए कुछ ना कुछ किया जा रहा है. सो ऑल दीज मेजर्स वर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द issues concerning with the northeast India. Now one by one we'll discuss about the state, and in this the first one is Mizoram. The tribes in northeast India have an ancient history, and when India became independent, the government gave administrative autonomy to the districts of Mizo majority areas of the Lusai Hills. And when the state's reorganization commission was appointed in 1954, the expectations of the people in this area grew, and the Mizo leaders started demanding autonomous Mizo province. अलग से खुद का एक प्रोविंस उन्हें बनाना था. So in 1959, the territory of Mizoram experienced severe drought, and during this famine, Mizo leader Lal Denga served the common people a lot. He helped common people a lot, and that's why he became leader there. And then after in 1961, Lal Denga established an organization called Mizo National Front. You can see the map of the Mizoram state. He asked for Greater Mizoram, an independent nation carved out of Tripura, Manipur and Mizo majority areas from the Loshai Hills. So here one thing which is very important to understand. जब हम इंडियाज़ इंटरनल चैलेंजेस की बात करते हैं तो हर कोई अपने अपने ग्रुप के लिए, अपने अपने स्टेट के लिए, या फिर अपनी लैंग्वेज बोलने वाले लोगों के लिए, या फिर सिमिलर कल्चर जहाँ की है, ऐसे लोगों के लिए एक अलग नेशन चाहता था, जो हमने खालिस्तान की डिमांड में भी देखा. Here also the same thing. Through the Mizo National Front, Lal Denga asked for the nation or independent nation. In March 1966, Mizo National Front announced the emergence of independent Mizoram. But the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi handled the situation firmly and suppressed the rebellion. And when the situation calmed down in 1972, the Mizo majority area was given the status of Union Territory. Then in 1985, Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi had an agreement with the Mizo National Front, and Mizoram was given the status of a full-fledged state. And there the Lal Denga became the first chief minister of the state. Now next to the Mizoram, we are going to talk about the Nagaland, but here you can see the image of Lal Denga and the symbol of Mizo National Front. Nagaland. The Naga tribe in northeast India is known as martial tribe and settle in eastern Himalayas, the Naga Hills, border areas of Assam and Myanmar. In 1946, some educated Naga youth established an organization called Naga National Council. Here the first thing, again very important to understand, लोगों का इकट्ठा आना, कोई ना कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बनाना, एंड थ्रू दैट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन टू डिमांड वट एवर दे आर वांटिंग. उन्हें जो चाहिए वो फिर डिमांड करना थ्रू देयर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. ये चलता रहा. नागालैंड में भी वही हुआ. 1946 में कुछ एजुकेटेड नागा यूथ इकट्ठा हुए, उन्होंने नागा नेशनल काउंसिल बनाया, एंड देन they made a demand for an independent state of Nagaland. They were led by Angamizapu Fizo. In 1954, Naga National Council announced the establishment of an independent federation of Nagaland. And in 1955, skirmishes happened between local Nagas and the soldiers of the Assam Rifles. And then action was taken against them. Then the several rounds of discussions took place between the central government and the Naga National Council, and these discussions were only for giving them as a state rights. Central government decided to give the Naga majority territory the status of union territory, and then Nagaland was made a full-fledged state on 1st December 1963 by putting together the Naga majority territory and part of Chunang. In the map you can see Naga majority and the Tunsang. Next one, Assam. In 1983, there was an intense agitation staged by all Assam Students Union and Assam Gan Sangram Parishad over the question of the dominance in Assam of Bengali migrants. It was a very serious problem there in Assam because it was very close to the Bengal. उनकी जो बाउंड्रीज थी वो एक दूसरे की क्लोज होने की वजह से वहाँ पर बंगाली रिफ्यूजीज़ का, बंगाली माइग्रेंट्स का आना था और ये एक सीरियस इशू बना था. एंड टू सॉल्व दिस इन 1985 प्राइम मिनिस्टर राजीव गांधी, सेंट्रल होम मिनिस्टर शंकर राव चौहान and Assamese leader Praful Kumar Mohanto signed an accord. Now according to this, it was decided to send the Bangladeshi citizens who had infiltrated in Assam back to their original places. In 1986, elections were held for Assam Legislative Assembly, and there Praful Kumar Mohanto of the Assam Gan Parishad became the new chief minister. And due to this democratic process, it became possible to establish peace in Assam. This one, map of the Assam state. And now our next state about which we are going to talk is Arunachal Pradesh. In 1954, NEFA was created. In 1972, it began to be called Arunachal Pradesh, that is the region of the rising sun. And on 20th February 1987, it got the status of constituent state. And during the period of 1960 to 2000, Northeast India has progressed towards a more mature democracy, and this area is on the path of the progress through industrialization, spread of education, and by all other measures which were taken by the central government. Now all these were the internal challenges in front of the unity of our country. And now the next one, Naxalite movement or the Naxalism, which was started at Naxalbari in Darjeeling district in West Bengal. अभी भी बहुत बार न्यूज़ में हम लोग इस नक्सल मूवमेंट के बारे में सुनते हैं, पढ़ते हैं न्यूज़पेपर में जब भी कोई घटना कहीं पर घटती है. तो बेसिकली इट वाज स्टार्टेड एट नक्सलबारी in Darjeeling district in West Bengal. The Naxalites organized the small land holding farmers. Initially, अगर हम उनके स्टार्ट मूवमेंट की बात करेंगे तो जो स्मॉल लैंड होल्डिंग फार्मर्स थे उनको इकट्ठा किया, एंड लैंड लेबरर्स, लैंड होल्डिंग फार्मर्स and land laborers, and took charge of their lands, put up red flags, and declared that area as free territory in 1967. 1967. So all those movements that took inspiration from this rebellion are called Naxalite movements. But it was then spread in the different parts of our country. The movement had the of establishing objectives of establishing action committees to raise a voice against the exploitation of the farmers by the landlords and confiscate the land of the landlord and distribute it among the tenants. Now this was very serious issue. जो लैंडलॉर्ड्स थे उन्होंने गरीब फार्मर्स थे उनकी जो खेती थी वो अपने पास रख ली थी और उसको छुड़वा के उन लोगों में बांट देना, ये स्टार्टिंग का मोटिव था, ऑब्जेक्टिव था नक्सलाइट मूवमेंट का. बट देन द मूवमेंट स्ट्रेड अवे फ्रॉम इट्स ऑब्जेक्टिव्स. It took recourse of terrorism to prevent any government schemes and welfare policies. गवर्नमेंट की कोई भी स्कीम या वेलफेयर पॉलिसी वो कॉमन लोगों तक पहुंचने नहीं देते थे. द नक्सलाइट स्टार्टेड अ parallel system by rejecting the democratic system, and this made Naxalism a serious challenge to India's internal security. Here you can see the movement was mainly located in West Bengal, but then the movement spread to East Godavari in Andhra Pradesh. Here in the map you can see parts of Visakhapatnam, Karimnagar in Telangana, Adilabad, Bastar, then Chhattisgarh, Gadchiroli, Bhandara and parts of Chandrapur in Maharashtra, Balaghat and Mandala in Madhya Pradesh, and Koraput in Odisha. So in order to maintain their influence, the Naxalites established an organization called People's Liberation Guerrilla Army, and this conflict is still going on. जैसे मैंने पहले ही बताया कि न्यूज़ में हम लोग बार बार कुछ इंसिडेंट के बारे में पढ़ते हैं, सुनते हैं जो नक्सलाइट मूवमेंट से रिलेटेड होती है, एंड दैट इज़ व्हाट इट इज़ स्टिल गोइंग ऑन. नाउ द नेक्स्ट वन विच इज़ अगेन very serious threat to our democracy or internal challenge to our unity, that is what is communalism. Communalism is a serious threat to the unity of our country. Now what does it exactly mean? Communalism emerges out of narrow religious pride. The British sowed the seeds of communalism in our country through their policy that divide and rule, जो उन्होंने यूज़ की थी. अभी तक कुछ लोगों के दिमाग में वही बसा हुआ है. So people of different religions have happily lived together since many centuries. We have history of that. There is nothing wrong in people of different religions living together in a country, and we are living. But when this pride becomes excessive, अपने खुद के रिलीजन के लिए जब ये प्राइड बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाता है, एक्सेसिव हो जाता है, then it turns into bigotry, and each one then begins to consider their religion superior and others inferior, and this leads to religious fanaticism. मेरा खुद का रिलीजन किसी और के रिलीजन से बड़ा है या फिर अच्छा है, ये सोचना और दूसरे के रिलीजन के प्रति बुरी बातें समझना, दैट इज़ व्हाट इज़ द सेंट्रल ऑफ कम्युनलिज्म. सो फैंटिसिज्म इज़ द base of communalism, and it makes one oblivious of national interest. People of different religions don't trust each other. Very serious issue when we talk about the democracy, when we talk about the peace in the country, and when we are thinking about our next generations, then it is very important to have trust in each other. So they become suspicious of each other, and compatriots following different religions are looked at as enemies. It makes the perspective of looking at events and people prejudiced. हमारे दिमाग में किसी पर्टिकुलर रिलीजन के लिए, किसी पर्टिकुलर रिलीजन के लोगों के लिए एक सोच होती है, और उसी सोच के थ्रू उन लोगों को देखना, उस पर्टिकुलर रिलीजन को देखना, इज कॉल्ड प्रिजुडाइज्ड थिंकिंग। तो इससे बाहर आकर जब हम उनसे घुल मिल जाते हैं, आपस में बातें करते हैं, उनके रिलीजन को समझते हैं, हमारा रिलीजन उनको समझाते हैं, तो एक यूनिटी बन जाती है। दैट इज़ व्हाट इज़ वेरी इम्पॉर्टेंट when we're talking about democracy and when we're talking about unity of our country. Trust between people is the basis of coexistence. If we have to live together, then it is very important to accept the truth. The truth is, India is a country of different religions, and we need to live in the same situation with the trust. And if trust breaks, social unity receives a blow. How can national unity be achieved without social unity? So, to overcome this problem, we should search for the economic, political, or historical reasons that are responsible for disturbing religious harmony. And this is the only way to put an end to communalism and strengthen national unity, because it is the need of time, and it is the thing which we can give to our next generations. Next point, regionalism. Now, regionalism is the second side of a coin, we can say. Communalism is the one side, and the regionalism is the second side of a coin, which means having excessive pride about one region. It is one thing to introduce oneself as a Bengali or a Marathi person, and but if I think that because I am a Bengali or a Marathi, or it may be anything, Kashmiri or उत्तर प्रदेश या बिहार, किसी भी स्टेट का या पर्टिकुलर रीजन का हम इसमें नाम ऐड कर सकते हैं. सो आई एम सुपेरियर टू अदर्स फ्रॉम अदर प्रोविंसेस. इट कैन बी टर्म्ड एज excessive regional pride. The love for one's province turns morbid due to this kind of an excessive regional pride, and it is natural to feel love for one's province, but it should not become abnormal, and once it became abnormal, तो ये फिर से हमारे देश के यूनिटी के सामने एक चैलेंज बन के खड़ा होता है. So regionalism thrives on regional imbalance in development. In the post-independence period, some states achieved more progress while some states remained backward. And for example, if we talk, states like Maharashtra, Gujarat, Punjab, Tamil Nadu developed economically and industrially. And states like Odisha, Bihar, Assam remained undeveloped economically and industrially. Now, economic development and reforms are the foundation of progress. अगर हमें आगे जाना है तो ये दोनों फील्ड में प्रोग्रेस होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. So as a result, the states that develop economically can also achieve progress in other areas like education, health, and culture. And the states which have not developed in this manner remain backward in education, and not only in education and in civic amenities also. So the opportunities of development available to people in different fields. So they are harassed by problems of education, backwardness, unemployment, poverty. So regionalism can affect developed as well as undeveloped states. So again the same thing, it is very important to overcome this feeling of regionalism. The evil of regionalism can be tackled by reducing the imbalance in डेवलपमेंट. पूरे देश में हर एक स्टेट की अगर बैलेंस्ड डेवलपमेंट होगी तो ये जो रीजनलिज्म वाला थॉट है वो लोगों के दिमाग में नहीं आएगा. सो इन दिस टॉपिक वी डिस्कस्ड अबाउट द इंडियाज इंटरनल challenges, and in that the unrest in Punjab, issues concerning northeast India, in that especially Mizoram, issues related with the Mizoram, Nagaland, Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, then the Naxalite movement, communalism, regionalism. Now in सारे problems को छोड़ के भी, apart from these, there are several problems like overpopulation, cleanliness, agriculture, and the problems of the farmers, poverty, housing, and food. So we people are together trying to overcome these and move forward. So we are progressing steadily, but now it is very important to take it seriously and overcome these problems, to think about it and stand together as an Indian to become developed country.
Please subscribe the channel and press bell icon to get notifications.
So my dear students, this is all for today. Thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe, take care.